said the story before, but because we saying it, I might as well. But you know, I caught Young Buck in that time.
Oh,
y'all never heard that story?
You know he ain't gonna tell 50 that.
Yeah, call Young Buck.
Tell us the story, because he ain't gonna tell 50.
Man, he got 2-piece legend. Like,
Went to Chicago and Detroit. I got body slammed by the police in Chicago. Man, Fat Joe in there.
Hey, man, fuck with Fat Joe there, man. When I think about it, man, I was a wild boy, man.
Yeah,
we had some wild shit.
Times. But, like, you know.
People don't even know some of this shit. I don't want to
speak on that. Even when you mentioned, like, you know, you had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. It's like, it's a gift and a curse.
20 years after the Terror Squad versus G-Unit beef supposedly ended, Fat Joe just reignited the whole thing with a wild claim on his podcast. He says his crew jumped Young Buck at a Chicago festival back in the day, and Buck fired back with a diss track calling him a liar. The podcast era keeps bringing up old drama that maybe should have stayed buried, and now we've got 2 grown men going back and forth over something that allegedly happened 2 decades ago. Let me break down exactly what Fat Joe said, how Young Buck responded, and why a witness has already stepped forward to contradict the entire story. Understanding why these two would even have beef requires a quick look at hip-hop history, because if you weren't paying attention in the mid-2000s, this whole thing might seem random. Fat Joe, born Joseph Antonio Cartagena in the Bronx back in 1970, built himself into one of New York's hip-hop legends. Terror Squad came together in 1998 under his leadership.
Hey, Young Buck, man, that nigga front on me. He said, yo, I'm telling you.
They put hands on Buck.
I'm telling you.
Supposed to be no head.
A collective that included Big Pun, Remy Ma, and even DJ Khaled in the early days. Lean Back climbed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2004, and tracks like What's Love with Ja Rule and Ashanti cemented his status as a hitmaker. More recently, All the Way Up with Remy Ma proved the man still had it after decades in the game. That friendship with Ja Rule is the connection that matters here. Ja Rule and 50 Cent had one of the most vicious beefs hip-hop has ever witnessed. And when Fat Joe appeared on Ja Rule's track New York in 2004 with its subliminal shots at 50 Cent, that automatically put Joe in G-Unit's crosshairs. Fat Joe didn't stumble into this beef by accident. He chose a side when he linked up with 50 Cent's biggest enemy, and that decision would define his relationship with G-Unit for years to come. Young Buck represents the other side of this equation. David Darnell Brown came out of Nashville, Tennessee, born in 1981, and became a core member of G-Unit after meeting 50 Cent while touring with Juvenile. Tony Yayo's incarceration created an opening, and Buck stepped in to replace him on G-Unit's debut album Beg for Mercy in 2003. Straight Outta Cashville dropped in 2004, went platinum, and peaked at #3 on the Billboard 200, which meant Buck was a legitimate star during G-Unit's peak years.
No.
So
no
happened?
story, or you want the story?
I want the story.
I never heard. So I'm getting off the stage, and it's dumb dark. Like, it's mad dark. And there was somebody up on the second thing. He was like, yo, crack. But I just got off stage. I'm ripping it down. Chicago, I'm walking out and says, yo, crack.
Buck's relationship with G-Unit didn't last forever, though. 50 Cent expelled him from the group in 2008 amid disputes over royalties and what was described as erratic behavior. A brief reunion happened in 2014, but Buck departed again in 2018, and his relationship with 50 Cent has remained hostile ever since. 50 Cent has repeatedly mocked Buck over financial troubles and personal controversies through the years, which adds another layer to this whole situation. The 2005 MTV Video Music Awards brought the Terror Squad versus G-Unit tension to a head when Fat Joe and 50 Cent nearly came to blows backstage. That confrontation carried real consequences, costing Fat Joe a $20 million Jordan brand sneaker deal after Michael Jordan himself reportedly revoked it. Things had gotten that serious, and the industry was watching closely to see how far this beef would escalate. Music executive Chris Lighty's death in 2012 finally brought peace. Lighty had been pushing both sides to reconcile, and his passing accomplished what years of beef couldn't. Fat Joe and 50 Cent actually became friends, which makes this whole current situation even stranger considering the history involved. All that history sets the stage for what started this current drama. December 18th or 19th of 2025, Fat Joe sat down for an episode of Joe and Jada, the podcast he co-hosts with Jadakiss through iHeartMedia and Rock Nation.
You hear me, nigga? I look up. Oh, it's Young Buck. I got a water bottle in my hand. out of here. I throw the water bottle up there. I said, come down. Like, come down. Yo, I'm going crazy.
Oh.
Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda joined as guests, and while everyone was reminiscing about the old days, Fat Joe decided to reveal something he claims he'd never told anyone before. The conversation had been flowing casually, with the group trading stories from the height of the Terror Squad versus G-Unit era, when Joe dropped his bombshell. His exact words landed hard. "I never told nobody this story before," he began. "I caught Young Buck during that time. He got two-piece legended. That dude tried to front on me." The alleged incident took place at a Chicago festival during the height of the beef. Fat Joe's version of events puts Young Buck calling out to him from an upper level of the venue. "I look up and it's Young Buck," Joe recounted. "I got a water bottle in my hand. 'Get out of here.' I throw the water bottle at him. I said, 'Come down,' followed by an expletive. I'm going crazy. I just black out." What happened next, according to Fat Joe, involved police forming what he called a barricade to prevent chaos. That didn't stop his crew, the people he refers to as the ugly ones, from confronting Buck when he came downstairs. Buck allegedly caught a two-piece street slang for getting punched twice and tried to play it off afterward. Joe even named witnesses, claiming Jeezy and Fabolous saw the whole thing happen. He joked that they never tell his stories when he comes out on top, suggesting his friends don't give him credit for his victories. Here's a detail that raises eyebrows, though. Tony Yayo sat right there during this podcast recording, a G-Unit member who would have almost certainly known if one of his groupmates got jumped at a festival. From what's been reported, Yayo appeared to have no prior knowledge of this alleged confrontation, and that's a pretty significant detail to consider. If Young Buck really got jumped by Fat Joe's crew at a major festival, wouldn't his own groupmate have heard about it at some point over the past 2 decades? Young Buck's response came within hours of the podcast dropping. AI-generated satirical posts flooded his Instagram, mocking the whole story with fake news headlines that turned Fat Joe's tough guy narrative into comedy. One read, "Breaking news just dropped. 20 years later, and Young Buck finally out the ER from that Fat Joe two-piece. This man a survivor."
I don't never get like,
So when he came down,
I don't know, I don't get tested. Like, it's very hard to test me, yo. I'm telling you, I'm going.
Come on, man.
I just black out. So I'm waiting for the nigga. The nigga up there, he got to come down the staircase, right?
Another mock news post followed, claiming Buck was expected to make a full recovery in 4 to 6 more decades. He offered Fat Joe a biscuit to go with his two-piece, which plays on the double meaning, since two-piece means getting punched twice in street slang, but also describes a chicken order at any fast food joint. Buck was clearly trying to show that he found the whole story more amusing than threatening. December 21st brought the real escalation when Young Buck dropped an actual diss track called CAPpuccino. The capitalized Cap references hip-hop slang for lying, driving home the accusation that Fat Joe fabricated the whole story. The track runs about 2 minutes over G Herbo's Went Legit instrumental, and Buck doesn't hold back with his bars. "No hands was put on nobody, even though I attempted," he raps. "I don't know if this is you, Fat Joe, or the Ozempic." That Ozempic line takes a shot at Joe's recent weight loss, suggesting the man telling these stories isn't even the same person who lived through the beef era. Another bar hits just as hard. "You told the story, but you just had to go and twist it." Buck also takes aim at the whole podcast phenomenon, spitting, "These rappers need to stop teaming up on these podcasts and making these little skits." The Rucker Park reference adds another layer. "Speak facts when you say my name."
So I'm losing my mind, right? Like, yo, come there. Come. He had a bunch of niggas with him, too. A bunch of Chicago dudes with him, right? So the cops come and they form like a barricade. Like, there's like 5 cops. They closed the staircase so he won't come. He took too long to come down, by the way. Like, you know, when you see a nigga, you ready to tear him up.
This ain't the Rucker Park. I don't play them type of games. Buck is drawing a line between entertainment and reality, making clear he takes accusations about his reputation seriously. Young Buck's music video for CAPpuccino turns the mockery visual by putting him in front of a Popeyes restaurant, holding an actual 2-piece chicken meal with a biscuit. Fat Joe's tough guy story became a fast food joke, and the imagery spread across social media as fans picked sides in the beef. A witness stepping forward to directly contradict Fat Joe's account changes everything about how people are viewing this situation. DJ Don Juan, Young Buck's DJ at the time, who claims he was actually present that night, posted a video shutting down the story entirely. According to Don Juan, 4 police officers accompanied Fat Joe at the time, and no punches were thrown. Worldstar Hip Hop picked up the video, which racked up over 71,000 views as fans shared it across platforms. Don Juan's account paints a completely different picture than what Fat Joe described, suggesting that security prevented any physical confrontation from happening. The situation now sits at Fat Joe saying his crew jumped Young Buck saying it never happened, and Buck's former DJ backing up Buck's version of events. Neither Jeezy nor Fabolous, the 2 witnesses Fat Joe named, have said anything publicly to confirm or deny the story. Their silence leaves a major hole in Fat Joe's account since he specifically cited them as people who could verify what happened. Fat Joe isn't backing down though. His Instagram comment held firm. "Nah, you know it's facts, but old but fact. Sorry, beloved." After the diss track dropped, Fat Joe pivoted to attacking Buck's finances. "Buy his stuff," he wrote. "I heard he's doing bad. I wouldn't have said it if it didn't happen." That comment about Buck's financial situation references the various money troubles that have followed Buck throughout his post-G-Unit career, a topic that 50 Cent has also used to mock his former groupmate over the years. Young Buck screenshotted that comment and fired right back with a response defending his current position in the industry. "If doing bad means owning my masters, dropping independent heat..."
You down. Yeah. He's taking too long, right? And so when he comes down, he's in the staircase and he's trying to tell me like, yo, this ain't got nothing to do. But he was just talking crazy. He tested me to see if Fat Joe was. You know, a lot of niggas is. They act
Joe,
like
you
they
sure he
tough,
just
but
wasn't
you catch
saying
him.
what up? Like he said.
Oh no, it was at the height of the beef.
Oh.
So.
Staying out the way and stacking, then I guess I'm doing bad. Love to everybody supporting CAPpuccino. Keep streaming, keep pushing. Buck turned the financial attack into a flex about his independence, pointing out that owning your masters is actually a major accomplishment in the music industry. The hip-hop community has weighed in, and skepticism toward Fat Joe's story seems to be the general consensus among media outlets and podcasts covering the beef. Joe Budden's podcast covered this beef extensively, with panelists suggesting Fat Joe may have put a little extra sauce on his account of what happened. Budden himself predicted that if Fat Joe actually entered the booth to respond, Buck would handle him pretty easily in a lyrical battle. The feeling on that show pointed toward Fat Joe addressing the situation on his own podcast rather than escalating to actual music, which would be the safer route given Budden's assessment of their respective skills on the mic. Media coverage from Complex, Hot New Hip Hop, All Hip Hop, and Hip Hop DX has been extensive, with multiple outlets treating this as a notable revival of mid-2000s rap rivalries. The story has clearly captured attention because it represents unfinished business from an era that many hip-hop fans remember vividly. 50 Cent staying quiet might be the most surprising part of this whole situation. His Instagram trolling has become legendary, and he's the common thread between both artists since Fat Joe was his enemy, while Young Buck was his groupmate. Complex noted it's only a matter of time before 50 weighs in, given his history of inserting himself into drama involving people from his past. What complicates any prediction is that 50 Cent and Fat Joe actually reconciled and became friends after squashing their decade-long feud. 50's relationship with Young Buck remains hostile, with repeated mockery over Buck's financial troubles and personal controversies through the years. Whose side 50 would take remains unclear, and there's always the possibility he just mocks both of them for entertainment value, since that's very much his style. The timeline shows how quickly this whole thing developed once Fat Joe opened his mouth on that podcast. The original Terror Squad vs. G-Unit beef stayed active from roughly 2004 to 2012, which places the alleged Chicago Festival incident around 2005 or 2006 during the peak of that rivalry. Then nothing for almost 20 years as both camps moved on with their lives and careers. December 18th or 19th of 2025 brought Fat Joe telling this story on his podcast with Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda as guests. Young Buck responded December 19th with those satirical AI-generated Instagram posts mocking the claims. December 21st saw the CAPpuccino diss track drop alongside the Popeyes music video. DJ Don Juan's denial came December 21st and 22nd, and his video went viral across hip-hop blogs and social media. December 22nd and 23rd brought the Instagram comment exchanges between Fat Joe and Young Buck as both men doubled down on their positions. 5 days, 20 years of silence, and then everything erupts in less than a week, which shows how quickly beefs can reignite in the social media era. The beef currently sits in a holding pattern with no clear resolution in sight, and both sides maintaining their version of events. Fat Joe hasn't released a diss track in response, sticking to Instagram comments while maintaining his story happened exactly as he described. Young Buck firmly denies any physical altercation occurred, and his former DJ backs up that version of events with his own first-hand account. Several key elements remain unverified and may never be confirmed. No independent confirmation of the alleged Chicago incident exists beyond Fat Joe's claims. Tony Yayo, a G-Unit member present at the podcast recording, apparently had no prior knowledge of this story despite being Buck's groupmate. DJ Don Juan directly contradicts Fat Joe's account with specific details about police presence. Jeezy and Fabolous, the witnesses Fat Joe named, haven't said a word publicly about whether they saw anything happen. The podcast era has transformed how hip-hop stories get told and potentially embellished for entertainment. Artists sit around with friends, cameras rolling, trying to tell entertaining stories, and sometimes those stories might get extra sauce added to them, as Joe Budden suggested. 20 years after the original beef, the truth of what happened in Chicago remains disputed with conflicting accounts. Fat Joe says his crew jumped Young Buck. Young Buck calls it cap, and a witness who was there says no hands were thrown. 50 Cent's Instagram silence won't last forever if history is any guide, and his eventual take could shift how fans view this situation. Fat Joe's next podcast episode will probably address the diss track if he decides to respond at all, giving him a platform to expand on his claims or back down gracefully. Any statement from Jeezy or Fabolous confirming or denying their presence could shift everything, since they're the only neutral parties Fat Joe specifically named. What's your take on this whole situation? Do you think Fat Joe told the truth about Chicago or embellished the story for podcast content? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.